cannot adequately express my gratitude on behalf of members of the association from many countries and many faith backgrounds for the hospitality of this cathedral, of you, Dean Annika, and Bishop Ragnar, and for the assistance and encouragement of the Svenska kyrkan, the Church of Sweden, at parish, diocesan and national level, without which our conference would have been impossible. And to our folk musicians, northerners, I believe, is that correct? From the north? I'm a northerner, though I think north in England is a bit further south than in Sweden. And to our wonderful choir, and to representatives of the diverse and vibrant faith community of Sweden joining with us, we warmly thank you. Shall we? As those who minister in airports, we are well used to others being in our debt, and indeed also regularly being indebted to others. Only a week ago, I witnessed my Muslim colleague lead a distressed passenger, and this is how airports work, in the words of the Lord's Prayer. When we pray to God, forgive us our debts as we forgive those who are indebted to us, we really mean it. We are forever in your debt. This is our association's second conference in our 50 years of meeting together in Sweden. Our last visit was in 1997 when Britta was chaplain and Father Jim was president. And it's wonderful that both of them are here with us today. I hope. Are you there? This morning, Father Mike, preaching on the reading set in the lectionary for the day, said in our small gathering, when we love, we are doing what God does, what God is. Doing what God is. Doing what God is about. There is no more privileged a calling. The International Association of Civil Aviation Chaplains is undoubtedly a more diverse group than we were in 1997, and certainly in 1967 when we met together for the first time. It is perhaps natural to worry if our core aims and objectives have had to be watered down to accommodate that diversity of faith traditions. But I would want to say publicly that I do not believe that that is the case. Not for Christians, not for Jews, not for Muslims, not for Sikhs, not for Buddhists, not for chaplains of any faith. Indeed, some days, many days, we all have to dig down to the very foundations of our faith to find the motivation, the strength, the energy to do what St. Paul writes about. Not to be overcome or overwhelmed, to overcome evil, not with more evil, but with good. To live in harmony, not to be proud or standoffish, but to be willing to engage with anyone, whatever their high position, but also however long it is since they bathed or applied deodorant. Not to pay back ill will or take revenge, to do what is right, to live at peace with everyone, to feed people not because they're our friends, not because they believe the same things that we believe, not even because they somehow, in our judgment, deserve it, but simply because they are hungry. And how I interpret Paul's words that were read to us earlier by Dean Annika about burning coals on people's foreheads, well, in doing the simple, the good stuff with love, that is to offer people a sense of the pure and holy and consuming presence of God, whether or not they choose to see it for themselves. As someone once said, we are to preach the good news and to use words if we absolutely must. Our association has changed as our understanding of the world has also changed, and as the world has shrunk massively, and our global village become ever more eclectic. What we thought was specific to us turns out to be a universal experience. Missing a flight, losing a loved one, falling in love, being separated, or being reunited with the family you thought you'd never see again. All these are daily experiences in our airports. And so Paul's instruction, which immediately precedes those words that were read to us from the Bible a moment ago, are in fact our daily universal ministry, as we rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. This could turn into an advertisement for the IACAC's new 50th anniversary book, and you can actually read what I'm about to say somewhere in the depths of those pages. But I wrote about something that was really important to me, a moment, a high spot of my ministry at Manchester Airport, to meet a man and a woman, both from India, both of the Jain religion. After I had helped them to find accommodation and food for a week, after they'd been robbed and couldn't afford to change their ticket and return home a week early. And as they repaid me in full, they looked me in the eye and said in absolute seriousness, "George, I see the presence of God in you." As an Anglican parish priest for 15 years, I have to say nobody had ever said that to me. But I treasure that moment. It was the moment that burning coals were heaped on my head. I saw in them the presence of God as they saw the presence of God in me. And like Isaiah, I could hear the voice of the Lord saying, "Well, who will go for us?" And I was renewed and able to say, "Here am I, send me." As we celebrate the past 50 years of airport ministry and look to what the future may hold, may this opening ceremony and this conference provoke in us that same response. Here I am, send me. I now invite all who are able to stand with me. We light this candle to mark the beginning of the 50th anniversary of the International Association of Civil Aviation Chaplains and our conference together. With you, O God, is the well of life, and in your light we see it. We light this candle for the love of God that calls us, and for the gift of faith that enables us to respond to God's call. Let this candle burn for the power of God's grace, in which all things hold together for good. Let its constant flame remind us of who we are called to be and what we are called to do.
May we be the light shining the world around us.
You are a light for the world. A city built on a hilltop cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp to put it under a bucket. They put it on a lampstand where it shines for everyone in the house. In the same way, your light must shine before people